Good morning. Hi, how are you doing? It's Monday morning, the 14th of September. Lovely, bright, sunny day out there. Hope everyone's doing well. Right, thanks for bearing with us. We're running a couple of minutes late, just jumping through a few technical issues to get the stream up and running, but we're here now. It's nice to see a bunch of people in the chat already. Sean, Anne, Tony, Kasha, Garode, Antoinette, Paul, Michelle, Jorge, Mark, Laura, Eleni, Julie, Audrey. Wow, amazing. That's loads of people here already. That's great. Thanks for joining us this morning. That's great. And some people will be catching up later on, kind of watching the stream back later. So hi to anyone who's watching it later. That's super to have you connected. I hope you've had a good weekend. It was lovely weather over the weekend, so that's been super. And I hope you've had time to kind of reflect back on some of the things that we were working through last week. Kind of working on your CV, thinking about how that looks, how it feels, how you're going to present it differently, what are the things you're going to kind of get round to focusing on. So it's good to have you all there. And hopefully you're up to speed on that. Today we have the pleasure of learning a little bit more about LinkedIn, and also kind of this week starting to think through networking. How do we network, and particularly how do we network without going to big events and shaking people's hands and handing over business cards? Thankfully, for quite some time now, LinkedIn has been a platform that's kind of enabled us to network with people via our computers, via our phones, and it's a relatively easy way to kind of get connected and look through the people you've worked with, the people potentially you did courses with, and to stay connected. And that's partly why we're working with LinkedIn. They've been great supporters of ours for years now, and we've had a really close working relationship with them for the past 3 or 4 years. And we've been one of their charity partners, so they've been really deeply involved with LinkedIn. They've been working on all of the Jobnets for about 5 years, and it's been super helpful to be able to get to understand why it's such a helpful and useful space. And I think even more so now that everything is virtual and we're all connected on them. So I'd love to get we have Maggie Eppner joining us from LinkedIn this morning. Good morning, Maggie. How are you?
Good morning. Hi, Rolly. Thanks for having me. Hello, everyone.
No worries. Yeah. Lovely to have you on. Thanks very much.
Very good. Thanks so much.
Can you just tell us briefly, like what's your role, what you do at LinkedIn, and how long you've been there?
Absolutely. So I've been with LinkedIn about 1 year and 8 months. I'm on our global accounts team, and I'm part of the customer success team. So I'm a customer success analyst, which is basically a fancy way for saying account management using data. So more on that if you're interested, but that's the gist of it. And I'm also one of the job care partnership managers internally with LinkedIn. So it's good to be here with everyone. Thank you for making time for the call on a Monday morning.
Right. It's great to have you here. Super. What are you going to share with us this morning?
Absolutely. So I'm going to kind of just go through in the spirit of the power that LinkedIn has to help you network, particularly in this virtual environment. We're going to talk about what constitutes a strong digital brand, so how you can build out your profile. And then we'll go into some different kind of engagement strategies that you can use to network on the platform.
Right.
And then at the end, we'll have time for any questions. I should mention that part of my role is that I work with the global accounts. I work with their talent acquisition teams. So I would have some insight into kind of the trends and what some of our bigger customers are looking for in terms of the talent that they're recruiting. So if you have any questions regarding that, I can hopefully give you the insider scoop.
That sounds excellent. Great. The kind of questions will come up in the chat box. Also be keeping an eye on them on YouTube. So I'll kind of curate those and come back and kind of ask you those later on. All right.
Perfect. Great.
Thanks. Over to you.
Great. I'm going to share my screen. So I'm not sure if I'll be able to see the comments coming in. So Roly, feel free to call them out to me if that's the case. I'm going to go ahead, stop my camera and share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen okay? Are we all good?
We can see your screen. That's great. You don't need to stop your camera because we'll be able to see you in the same window if you leave it on.
I'm just a little concerned with connectivity. So if it's okay, I'm just going to go with this for now, if that's all right.
Perfect.
And can you just see the deck, or am I in presenter mode?
Yeah, we can see the deck. It's perfect. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, super. For anybody that is not familiar with LinkedIn, I thought I'd show this short video to kind of help familiarize you.
In this industry, it really is about who you know. The restaurant business is a tough business. I've been up here and I've been down here too.
It is hard to find your thing. So you need people that you're close to help guide you.
I think about how important it was for me to have the role models that I've had.
There's been a lot of friends and clients that have supported me, especially since I started my own practice.
I wasn't able to get there alone. He essentially plucked me out of obscurity.
He's the one who said, hey man, this is your life. This is what you need to do.
Nobody can do it alone. The more help you can get along the way, the faster you can achieve your goals.
I don't know. I enjoy the work enough that I get lost in it.
If I do anything in this life, I just want young people to feel empowered.
I'll just pursue my aviation goals, whatever it takes to get there. I'm in it to fly.
To help people achieve their dreams.
To tell stories that matter, to celebrate good food.
I'm in it to speak for those who cannot.
Whatever you're in it for, we're in it together.
Okay, so that was just a little video to kind of talk about the different reasons that people come to LinkedIn and join LinkedIn. And I'm sure you have your own reason, obviously for its job searching functions, but also for you to network. And hopefully you're bringing your professional kind of brand with you and being able to find like-minded individuals and companies that connect with that. A little bit more, our vision at LinkedIn is to create economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce. So similar or kind of different to other social networking platforms, our platform is all about connecting job seekers with companies that are hiring. And in doing that, we're able to create that economic opportunity. Our mission is, like I said, to connect the world's professionals to make them more productive and successful. And so why LinkedIn as compared to other kind of social media or networking platforms? So here's a little bit about the power of LinkedIn. We have more than 675 million members on our platform. Just a bit of perspective, we have 2 new members join every second. We have more than 50 million companies on the platform, millions of jobs, over 30,000 recognized skills. You'll know that from your profile section when you go to build those out, and more than 90,000 schools. So all of these are kind of different data points that allow us to serve the right opportunities for you, but also for you to tap into to connect to people, say, that you went to school with, or that might have a skill that you're interested in learning more about, or companies, for example. So how do you make the most out of LinkedIn, and particularly in this virtual environment? It's all about starting with your profile, and your profile is your story. So I'm going to go into a little bit of kind of the tactical elements to that and how you can optimize it and what that will do for your brand. Starting with your photo. If you don't already have a photo, do make sure that you add one. Kind of best practice would be from chest or shoulders upwards. I'm a big fan of having a smiling photo, but whatever your preference is. We know our data tells us that members that have photos on their profiles see 9 times more connection requests, Their profiles are viewed more than 21 times and receive 36 times more messages than when you have a photo versus if you don't. And you'll see kind of a common theme here across today's presentation, that we are more and more becoming a visual society. So all these little things that you can do to kind of make your profile more dynamic and help it stand out more in this kind of visual world that we're living in, do, because it will benefit you kind of in your pursuit of your next opportunity, starting with your profile. I should also add that you have the ability to add a background photo or a banner photo, you might refer to it as. So do try to do that. You would add that behind your profile. And right there on the screen, you can see it's kind of blue. It goes blue to green. So you can customize that and try to make it something that kind of represents your professional identity or something about your kind of professional attributes. But again, it's just another simple way to make your profile stand out. Next, you want to add your industry. This also will allow your profile to be viewed more. We know our data tells us that members that add their specific industries will receive 9 times more profile views. And recruiters in particular will search for people based on their industry, about 300,000 people are searched by recruiters by industry. So best practice would be that if you are looking to move into a specific industry, that is not necessarily where you've been working, then you would want to use the industry of that you aspire to be part of. The reason for that is that recruiters, a lot of companies have a recruiting tool that from LinkedIn, it's called LinkedIn Recruiter. And basically they can search using different filters. And one of the big ones that they use, hence the 300,000 people searched each week, is they use the industry filter. And they will be searching for people already in that industry or that are recognized as already being in that industry versus, say, looking for somebody. If you were looking to move from, say, the nonprofit world into tech, you'd want to use the tech industry because the likelihood of somebody in recruiting in tech looking for somebody in nonprofit or being open to it would be kind of more rare than it would be if they were just using the information technology and services industry. The next thing that I think this is equally as important, if not more than your the photo on your profile, is to draft a compelling about section. So this is your elevator pitch. So when people go to look at your profile, maybe this is something that you do yourselves, when you go to click on somebody's profile, next to looking at their name and their headline, you go on to look at their about or summary section. So make this a compelling summary of who you are and what you have to offer. You're going to focus on your career accomplishments and your aspirations. And you can also talk a little bit about who you are outside of work to kind of humanize your profile. And we know that that's more important than ever as we're in this virtual world. And we're seeing the more, I suppose, real sides of people. So I think that there's a tactical way to do that in this professional kind of digital space. But do take time to craft that and know that it does take time to craft a really compelling summary kind of statement here, but know that the return on that investment is really strong because you want somebody to read that and feel really good about your profile so that they're enticed to read on. Some best practice would be to maybe think about having three paragraphs. The first paragraph is talking about who you are as a professional, what your strengths and your skills are. Second paragraph would be talking about what your career aspirations are and the transferability of the skills and experience that you've already gained. And then third paragraph, you can talk about who you are outside of work or any kind of passion projects you're involved with. Going down your profile, you'll have the opportunity to upload any of your work experience. So best practice here, again, if we're thinking about making your profile easy easy for recruiters to find. Some best practices here is where you can use recognizable job titles to list your experience. And this allows the recruiters to search in and find profiles with the matching criteria. And so if you have any kind of previous jargon from a past company, you can include that in if say the role was called something kind of internally, something different than what maybe most people might recognize it as. You can include that in the blurb that's beneath the actual job section, but do try to use recognizable titles. And so you want to include your title, the dates that you worked there, the company, and then you can also include whether the type of role it was it paid, part-time, volunteer? You can include that there. And then do flush out what you include beneath in the experience. The reason for this is twofold. It helps anybody viewing your profile get a sense of what you've done within each role at each company and the impact that you've been able to have. But it also gives essentially the LinkedIn algorithm more data or information to work off of, or keywords for recruiters to be able to use to say come across your profile. So members with up-to-date positions will receive 5 times more connection requests, 8 times more profile views, and 10 times more messages. And I suppose one way to think about the reason for some of this is because if you were to look at somebody's profile and it was rather bare bones, you might get the impression that they don't actually use LinkedIn all that often if they haven't taken the time to fill out their profile. Therefore, you might not think of them as somebody worth reaching out to because you might not get much engagement from them on. So do take the time to fill out your profile. I'll be very upfront. It does take time, but it is well worth it. The return on your investment is very strong there. The other thing to add is that when you are filling out all of your work experience, the headline under where it'll say your name, it'll automatically populate with the most recent job title that you've held. So for example, I'm a customer success analyst. My profile would say Maggie Epner, customer success analyst automatically. However, you have the ability to customize the headline on your profile, and that won't change the title under your work experience. The value in doing this is that it helps your profile, again, stand out, and it links your name and your brand with some kind of keywords as to what you want to be known for and the value that you have to offer. Remember where I said there is kind of a theme of us, making things more relevant for our visually stimulated world we're living in. So under each experience, you have the ability to add, it's called dynamic media. So you can upload photos, presentations, videos that relate to the different experience you've held. And the value in doing this is that it helps kind of bring your experience kind of full circle and helps people have the ability to connect with it in a different medium, say, than just the text that you've provided. So this is a great, easy way to make your profile a bit more engaging. You add your education and accomplishments, and you very much should. Adding the education that you've had, not only does it link you in with fellow alumni, but it also helps kind of boost your credibility to show any of the credentials that you've earned. You can do that in 2 sections. You've got your education section, your formal education section, and then you also have the licenses and certifications section. So this is where you can upload any courses that you've taken or certifications that you've earned. And after today's session, in the coming days, you'll receive a LinkedIn premium subscription. And with this, you'll be able to access LinkedIn Learning for free for a year. And from this, you can take all sorts of courses and certifications. We have some that are certified by governing bodies, such as the Project Management Institute. So you can take those courses there, and you should add them to your profile. to help demonstrate that you are somebody that consistently is looking to learn and upskill, and again, and of course, substantiate your experience with certifications. Adding volunteer experience, particularly if you are out of work, adding volunteer experience is a really great way to demonstrate that you are still utilizing and learning new skills. And that our data will tells us that 41% of hiring managers do consider volunteer experience equally as valuable as paid work experience, especially if you're trying to change industries. So I know one of the previous job care groups that I'd worked with, it seemed like quite a few folks were interested in transitioning into the nonprofit industry. So getting volunteer experience before jumping into a new industry is a great way to demonstrate your sincerity and interest in making that change. But of course, you're also networking, you're also gaining new skills, you're also learning what is of interest to you and where you want to focus your energy. On your profile, you should add your skills. I want to say that you can add up to 30 skills on your profile, and you definitely should. These are additional criteria that recruiters will use when they're building out their searches to find candidates for their open roles. So in addition to typing in job title, industry, they're also typing in skills, and then LinkedIn is basically serving up a pool of candidates that meet all of the different search criteria that they're putting in on their back end. The interface looks different than the regular LinkedIn.com that you would know, but they are searching for skills. So this is why it's very important for you to upload your skills on your profile. We have a new feature which allows you to take a skills assessment, and this is to help substantiate your skills. So it's one thing to say that you have Excel, Microsoft Excel experience, but you can actually take an assessment on LinkedIn, which will give you a kind of a badge, which is then shown to recruiters to say, this is somebody with legitimate experience, do consider them. So I highly recommend that, particularly if you have a little spare time to use, and also might uncover any kind of blind spots that you need to focus on or buff up your skills around, which then you could use LinkedIn Learning for. To add with this section of skills and endorsements, you have the ability, as you might know, on anybody else's profile, you can endorse them for skills. And so one way that we know that you can get endorsed for your skills, you can outright ask people to endorse you, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's encouraged. But also we know that when you endorse people for their skills, they tend to come back and endorse you for yours. So do kind of think about going out to your network, particularly among your peers, perhaps in this group, and endorsing one another so that you can boost your credibility with these skills. Because we know if we see somebody has XYZ skills on their profile, if a few of them are endorsed, that's a good sign that the person really does possess and exhibit that skill. I talked about the assessments that you can take already. Do recommend taking those. They're not easy, but they are worth it. Recommendations. This is key, particularly as you are in between roles. So think on anybody that you've worked with in the past that might be able to speak to the value that you have to offer. So you can ask for a recommendation. You'll see on the screen there, you would click on ask for a recommendation. A screen would pop up to say who you want to ask the recommendation for, and you have the opportunity to personalize a message to the person to ask for them. Generally, what I would do is I would send them a message before sending them this window, or sending them the message from the recommendation window, and I would ask them to write you a recommendation, and then I'd send them the formal request through here. But this is a great way to, again, boost your credibility, and it helps anybody viewing your profile get even more of a sense of who you are from the words of somebody else, from the perspective of someone else. Because it's one thing if we say I'm XYZ, but it's another if somebody else can kind of vouch for it. Another great feature to be aware of as you're in a period of transition is this open for business feature. And this is actually kind of new on LinkedIn. So if you have any services to offer, say you have worked in the publishing industry or the writing and publishing industry, perhaps some skills or services that you might have to offer are copywriting, line editing, book editing. You could add those services there. People on LinkedIn have the ability to search for those. So not only could it potentially generate business for you, but it will give you an opportunity to network with people that are looking for your talent. So you'll see there, providing services. Here are these. This is what it would look like on your profile. Somebody could click there. They'd see that. Then they'd probably scroll down your profile to say, okay, what kind of experience does this person have? Does it relate to the services that they say they have to offer? And if so, that person would likely receive a message from somebody that's looking for any of these services that they say they're providing. So this is, again, a great way to get your name out there to potentially generate some freelance business while you secure a new full-time role. Another great feature to be aware of is the open to job opportunities, which you have on your profile. So you can share with your recruiters specifics about jobs that you're interested in. So you can share with recruiters, and it's only visible to recruiters, the type of industries, roles, job titles that you'd be interested in them getting in touch with you with. Now, I can give you some insight that on the back end, what happens is with that LinkedIn recruiter tool, we have the ability to send anybody that has listed their profile as open to new opportunities. We then kind of keep these people in a category, and as recruiters are building out their searches for specific candidates they're working for, we surface candidates that meet any of the relative criteria into a special category for them. We call it like a warm category pool, and this gives them the opportunity to kind of focus their efforts on candidates that they know are likely to reply. And believe me, they do want to focus on these candidates because the way that they kind of evaluate the effectiveness of their strategy is how many candidates respond to their messages. So they tend to focus on these categories that LinkedIn serves to them that says, hey, these people are potentially interested in what you have to offer and would respond. So adding that you're open to new job opportunities is a great way to get in front of recruiters. Something that's kind of changed over the last couple months is that we now have these kind of photo frames, which you can see. It's got the green hashtag open to work. So this is another great visual way for recruiters to quickly see somebody that's open to work. And unfortunately, I think that there potentially was a stigma as to having something like this, but now a lot of people are in the same boat. So to have a photo frame like this, it's no longer a negative thing. In fact, it's being enterprising about kind of the position that you're in and hoping to move out of it. So you're saying, hey, I'm open to work, let's talk. And that's the quickest way to flag it. So do take time to indicate that you're open to work on your profile. It'll be at the top near where it says open for business as well. Hopefully you are all familiar with how to use LinkedIn to find connections to network with. However, in times before the pandemic, you'd have the ability up at the top, kind of right, you'd see this, what looks like a kind of QR code thing in the search bar. You could click there, and anybody that had Bluetooth activated, if you were in the proximity of them, they had Bluetooth activated, they'd pop up to say this person's in your vicinity and open to networking. You could click there, connect with the person. So now you have to take a bit more of an active role. You will get recommendations as to people to connect with based on your existing connections and those that you might have, say, gone to your the schools that you've gone to or worked in prior companies that you've worked for. Those will become recommendations. And do try to connect with people. A best practice in connecting with people is always ensure, unless this is somebody in your kind of immediate circle that you would connect or that you would speak with somewhat regularly, always accompany it with a note. So this is even just to say, hi, I've come across your profile. I'm looking to expand my network in the XYZ market, particularly in Ireland. I'd love to connect, Maggie. And then you send your message. And that's much better than just getting a random connection request with no context. So always add the message where you can. It just kind of is the bow on the invite, if you will. You're tying a bow around it. Okay, so when it comes to how to use LinkedIn for your job search, so where you have at the top of your LinkedIn.com screen, you'll see you've got your home button, your network, your jobs. If you were to click on jobs, it's a little briefcase, toolbox, whatever you want to call it. This would be the home screen that you see on. So you can search for jobs and you can search in a specific location. If you don't indicate a location, it's going to show you globally, and then you can add filters. As some of you may have kind of already realized, there is a trend of more jobs being offered on a remote basis. So there is value in potentially not adding a location, and you can always adjust these filters as you build out your search. One of the features of getting this LinkedIn Premium subscription is that as you build out your profile, and another value in building out your profile is that we use all those different data points to help understand your experience and maybe the direction that you want to go in, so that especially as you're applying and looking at other roles. We then will recommend you companies where you think you'd be a top applicant at for you to consider. So the more that you engage with the platform, the more we learn about the things you're interested in to be serving those to you. So this is, again, another feature that will be available to you with a premium subscription. Then again, based on your profile, what you filled out on your profile, your prior experience, the skills you have listed, we will show you jobs, like I said, based on your profile. Okay, so when you are in the search bar, so like I said, you've created the search at the top. You've got the filters at the top bar where it says date posted, LinkedIn features, the company, experience level, and you can go to the all filters to the right to add in further criteria to narrow your search, because sometimes it can be overwhelming to sift through so many different opportunities, particularly if you don't feel they're relevant to you. So adding the filters to the top at the top bar will help you kind of sift through that a bit more quickly. Okay, and then when it comes to kind of looking over the different job opportunities that come up to you, you'll click on a job, you'll see what the title is, where the location is. If there is one, it might say remote. It is worth reading on in the job description as companies are learning to adapt to the new kind of workflow. Some of them might have listed in the body of the job opportunity that the job it can happen on a remote basis. So you would click on see more, but you'd see the general gist of what the company is. On the right-hand side, you'd see the industry, the employment type, and job functions. You'd also see when it's posted. And the other thing to the value is that this window has to offer. It'll show you how many connections you have that work there. So since you can no longer network at networking events or kind of go through the Rolodex of trying to see if you have a connection at a company that you're potentially interested in, LinkedIn will surface those to you. So if you look on this window, you see there are 83 connections that work, say, for LinkedIn. Now, when you are interested in a company, the best practice, in addition to getting information from somebody that works for the company, is to also see if you can get a referral from them. And this is becoming very commonplace in today's kind of job market. So it might feel strange to ask somebody that you've only met a few times for a recommendation or a referral into the company, but there actually is an incentive for the person that you'd be asking to refer you, then of course, if you are the right match. And when we turn over to the questions, I can go more into this if you'd like, because I know for me, when I was changing industries a couple of years ago, this seemed very strange and foreign to me to ask people for a referral that didn't really know me. But this is kind of the way that things are going, and this is how you're going to have to get in front of just regular job applicants coming in. Probably goes without saying, but LinkedIn is great for allowing you to research companies. So you've got all the different tabs there on the left-hand side for you to see kind of what life is like at these different companies, the people, that is the employees that work there, the jobs that they have to offer. So in your search bar at the top of your homepage, you can search for different companies that are of interest to you. I want to point out in particular, there is great value in following companies that you are remotely interested in. The value in doing that is coming back again to that LinkedIn recruiter tool that recruiters or talent acquisition teams use, where I had talked about there being a category where LinkedIn kind of holds all these warm candidates for them. We also have a category similar to that where we put together anybody that follows the company into a category for recruiters to tap into. That the reason for that is if I'm a recruiter at LinkedIn and I'm searching for the perfect candidate, if it's between looking at profiles of people that are not following LinkedIn or looking at profiles for people that are following LinkedIn, I'm going to be inclined to look at profiles of people that follow LinkedIn because I'll feel that they're more of an evangelist for the brand. And that's really what companies are focused on nowadays. Following. Okay, just a few more minutes on the slides and then we will turn over to questions. At the top hand bar, when you've clicked on the job section again, you have the ability to prepare, to use LinkedIn to help prepare for an interview. So if you go to the jobs section and you scroll over to more resources, you click down to prepare for an interview, and this will pop up with a bunch of different questions and kind of objections or responses that you could offer with some videos and text to help you prepare. So you'll see, tell me about yourself is kind of a scary question for a lot of us. So LinkedIn gives you some plausible responses that you could use and a little bit of the psychology as behind why you might want to use them. Okay, so here's the overview. A lot of overview for tell me about yourself, what that question really means. You can record a video or write a response if you want to just give yourself that experience of actually saying it or writing it out. And then here are some answers. Again, this is a feature for LinkedIn Premium subscription holders, so this you will have access to. And now I want to turn it over and talk a little bit about how you can use LinkedIn to engage. So how you can build your brand and really how you can network, okay? So I'm not going to be able to see the chat box, unfortunately, because I've got both screens occupied, but I want you to think about what comes to mind when you see these three icons, okay? So try to formulate your answer, and then hopefully we'll be on the same page, okay? So hopefully what you're thinking is when I like or comment or share or engage with a post, what happens is that post is shared with your first degree network. You'll know that from your news feed. If you are looking at your news feed, you might see that Roly Miller likes this article from Irish Times, and that might entice you to go read what that article's about. It might entice you to go click on Rolly's profile to say, hey, Rolly's interested in some really interesting kind of news articles. How does this person's brain work? You might click into Rolly's profile. Okay, that's your first degree network. So any activity that you do on LinkedIn, unless you adjust your settings to make it private, is shared with your first degree network. If someone in your first degree network thinks what you posted or comes across your post and is really interested in it and also chooses to engage with it, that gets shared with your second degree network. So these are people that you're not connected to, but that your first degree connections are. Somebody in your second degree network, say, comes across a post that you've written, your first degree connection likes it, or comments on it, somebody in your second degree network likes or comments on it, then that reverberates into your third degree network. So really what this is it's getting your name and your brand out into the LinkedIn ecosystem. So you might be saying, okay, well, how can I do that? Kind of what are the strategies that I should employ to make that happen? So there are 5 easy ways to boost your engagement on the LinkedIn platform, and the different kind of values in doing all of these. So basically, the easiest way to kind of get your name into other people's news feed, if you will, is to just like posts. You do want to be conscious about what you like, because people can infer about the kind of articles or posts that you engage with. You can infer a lot about people based on the actions that they take or what they are engaging with. So do be conscious about that. Commenting is a great way to kind of add your point of view. So even just commenting on somebody else's posts helps create an opportunity for them or one of their connections to engage, or anybody that's seeing the post to engage with you based on kind of the input that you had to offer. Sharing is a really great way to, again, get something of your own published into the news feed. So that is, your name would be attached to it. So if somebody else was inclined to like or comment, and again, it went into your first or second degree network, this is how your name would get out there. A best practice when you're sharing anything, whether it be something that you're kind of reproducing or resharing, or if you're creating your own posts, is where you can think about using hashtags. And the reason for this is that people, and perhaps you're one of them, will follow different hashtags. And so that's a community of people that you can potentially connect with when you use a hashtag, because they'll receive a notification that, hey, somebody has added a new post to diversity and inclusion. Do you want to check it out? And they might come to it, they might read your article, and they might want to say, I'm interested in connecting with this person, send you a connection request, and so on. And this is how you would expand your network kind of in this day and age. Again, posting is a great way to kind of bring yourself to the digital kind of marketplace, if you will. And then authoring is a really great way to demonstrate thought leadership. And you can do this in a post as well, but authoring is kind of more long form, where a post would be more short form. I highly recommend this, particularly if you are in a period of transition. So you can either talk about what this transition has meant for you. You can talk about your prior experience and the direction you want to go in. You can talk about the reflections that you've had during COVID. But people are always inclined to engage with content that people create and kind of share that and provide their kind of thoughts and feedback on it in a positive way. It generally tends to be a very supportive network in doing that. So do consider taking the time to potentially author a post. And if not, then just be posting things that relate to you, the brand that you're trying to build or put out there. And if you are interested in knowing, okay, so how strong, what is the strength of my brand? With LinkedIn Premium, you'll have access to something called the Social Selling Index. And it basically acts as a barometer as to tell you how effective you are at establishing your professional brand, finding the right people, how you're engaging with the insights or the kind of the AI that LinkedIn is using with your experience. So the more that you use it, LinkedIn will surface recommendations for you, such as jobs or people to connect with. So how much are you engaging with those? And how much are you building relationships? How many connections are you building? How many messages are you sending? So on and so forth. And that does it for me. So I'm going to stop sharing here. I'm going to start my camera. Hopefully that was useful. I would be happy to answer any questions. I apologize that I couldn't see any of them coming in as I was presenting.
Hi, Maggie. Thank you
Hi.
very much for that.
Sure.
That was great.
Great.
A great introduction to LinkedIn. Some of the stuff we don't normally get to see. Yeah, a couple of different ways of looking at things and thinking about things. So much appreciated. Thank you very much.
Very good. Are there
Great.
any questions?
Yeah. Let's get to Antoinette has a question.
Great.
So straight up, she says, "How do I find someone I'm connected to? How do I show their latest posts? If I view their profile, it just shows their information, but not their posts."
Okay, how do I find someone I'm connected to, their latest post? Okay, so this is a great question, and it brings up a really valid point. So if you are interested to see the activity that one of your connections has recently had on the platform, if you scroll onto their profile, beneath, I want to say, the About or Summary section, you have the ability to see that it's called Activity Dashboard, and you can click there to see any of the posts that they've had. You click into it and then you'd see anything that they've liked or commented on, but you could also see what they've posted and any articles that they've had as well. So this is how you could do that.
Cool.
Any other questions?
Oh, okay. So you just basically scroll down past their information. Is that right?
Totally. And then you just click into it and then you can see in the different categories.
Okay, cool. Okay, that's great. I hope that helps, Antoinette. And then Garode had a question. Thanks for the fine presentation. He says, "What are the top 3 areas to focus on for career transition?" And I wonder, how would that be related to LinkedIn potentially?
Gosh, that's a really broad question.
Let's at least focus it into what it could be used for in a LinkedIn kind of. Knowing what you know about LinkedIn, what would you focus on?
Okay, so knowing what I know about LinkedIn and also being somebody that changed careers in joining LinkedIn. I came from the nonprofit industry and I was determined to get into tech. It took a while, but I made it happen. And I feel like I was trying to do it like the old school way. But the rules have changed. Let me just put it that way. So the sooner that you can learn to network on LinkedIn, to reach out to people that you've never met and set up conversations, the better. There are a couple kind of features within LinkedIn that I'd recommend. So with LinkedIn Premium, you have the ability to view profiles outside of your first and second degree connections. So you can search just as you would at the top of the search bar. You can build out your search, use different filters if you need to try to find people in the industry that you desire to be in, and then look at their profiles, and then using a message to accompany a connection request. I would aim to connect with people whose profiles or experience are of interest to you, and try to set up a time to talk with them about their experience. So not only are you getting information to help you either figure out areas that you need to focus on to build your skills around, or kind of to inform your job searching strategy, but it also potentially opens up their network to you. So when I was trying to change careers, I had conversations with people in Belgium. I had conversations with people in India. And from there, people were saying, I can connect you with so-and-so based on that. And I was also getting information to learn, well, what's the language I should be using in my cover letters, in my applications? How should I think about maneuvering the process? So that's one way. So reach out to people, get informational interviews. If you're not familiar with what informational interviews are, there's a ton of resources online. So just Google informational interviews. watch YouTube videos if you prefer to learn things that way about the power of them, but I can't recommend it enough. Another thing is join groups on LinkedIn. So not only is that another kind of filter that recruiters search for, particularly if you are a woman. I know a lot of companies are looking for diverse candidates. So they will use the groups. They have a filter that they use on their interface called like searching for groups. And if it's, say, women in tech, they will search for that group to try to identify female candidates, for example. So that's one reason there's the advantage of it. But from a perspective of trying to transition into a new career, joining groups, not only does it connect you with people that are in that industry and kind of give you leads as to who to reach out to get those informational interviews, but it also will put you in touch with articles, opportunities, events to learn more about it. So whatever your interest area is, there is definitely a group on LinkedIn to use for that. And then the third thing would be, so network, reach out to people you don't know, set up time to talk with them. If you're interested in like how to craft those messages, feel free to ping me and I can help you. I've sent many. It would be join groups. And then the third would be use LinkedIn Learning to build your skills around whatever industry you are hoping to get into.
They're great. So Antoinette came back and said she couldn't find the activity tab. So I'm going to share my screen.
Sure.
And just quickly, I'm going to scroll down here. So this is my feed, and if I click on Mike's, so I used to work with Mike in the LA office in Riot Games.
Cool.
And my understanding is you just scroll down to here. This shows his activity.
Activity.
And I can click in here. Yeah.
Yep.
And then I get a feed of his activity in chronological order, and I can see it in different sections.
Right. So that's
the things that he's posted and come down. Is that where you're? Yeah.
So if you scroll up, Rolly, you see all activity.
So,
you've got any articles.
If he's created any posts, or if he's got any articles that he's written. Okay, not yet. Okay.
There you go.
Sure. Okay, great. That's super helpful.
Yeah.
Great. I hope that helps, Antoinette. Great. Cool. Thank you very much.
I've got time for another question if anybody wants to ask.
We haven't received any other questions. I'm
Okay.
delighted to say.
Great. I hope this has been useful. Apologies for the technical issues to begin with and a couple potentially throughout. But it's been great to have the opportunity to kind of share some of my kind of learnings from my own experience and then also from the perspective, of course, of LinkedIn. But I wish you all the best of luck as you are making the transitions and hopefully securing your next opportunity. There's so many great features that LinkedIn has to offer, and especially with LinkedIn Premium. So do make use of it, particularly the LinkedIn Learning. Yeah.
Maggie, thank you so much, and particularly, getting us through the kind of tech hiccups at the start. Much appreciated, and even kind of being able to flex in there your credit to LinkedIn. Thanks so much for your time. Much appreciated, and we'll be in touch soon.
Great.
Thanks, Maggie.
Thanks.
Great. So that was an amazing presentation by Maggie and a good introduction to LinkedIn. Even if you've already been on LinkedIn for a while, I think there's still a lot there to learn and to kind of get you kind of fired up to figure out how to work it, how to use it to your advantage over the next kind of couple of weeks and months to come. We will spend some time on our Zoom calls this week, having a look at that, and we'll dig into that, and we'll get you kind of up to speed as soon as we can. That's it from us for now, and we'll catch you later in the week. Thanks very much.